thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, Jesus. Come on, come, 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 come. Oh, that's so, yeah. Oh, yummy. Everyone want to hear your voice. Lift up your 2 hands and do it right now. Oh, that's so.
Blessings TV. Blessed to be a blessing. Blessings TV. Blessed to be a blessing. Blessings TV. Blessed to be a blessing.
Hey, the Lord bless you. You're watching Blessings TV. This is Time with Blessings. Today, I want you to invite a friend, tell a friend to invite a friend, tell a friend to invite a friend, because you're going to have a really, really good time. I have in the studio a man that I have known over the years, and we're going to have some, wonderful time. He's here with his beautiful wife. We're going to talk to him. We're going to hear their life stories. Now, you know that we are ordinary people who have extraordinary stories to tell, from nothing to God lifting, and he will continue to lift. And so I have here with me Isaac Boateng and Sandra Boateng. The Lord bless you.
God bless
It
you.
is
Thank
good.
you for having
Bless
us.
you too.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Look fantastic.
Thank you.
So we're gonna do this. I have known you for so long.
Yes.
So long. I mean, so long. And so how are you?
Oh, I'm blessed.
Wonderful. I know you are. With everything God is doing with you, I know you are. The CEO, both of them, of Face to Face. I know you are.
Thank you.
And how are you?
Very well. By the
Awesome.
grace of
How
God.
is
Thank
marriage life? How is it?
Marriage has been incredible. It's we celebrated 5 years
Yes.
last year, so
It's 5 years
it's been
already?
5 years. Time flies.
Wow.
Time
This is our
flies.
6th year, actually.
Yeah.
So in
Awesome.
May will be our 6th year.
It will be
Wow.
our 6th, and we have 2 beautiful girls now. So it's been quite a journey.
Well, the beautiful girls have never seen. I have never seen it. I don't think that's kosher. I should be
Next
able
time
to.
we'll bring them to the studio.
Wonderful.
They have to meet you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. If people hear face to face, what is face to face?
So, we are a Pan-African media company. We started Face2Face Africa about 7 years ago to really help change the Pan-African narrative. You know, as Ghanaians or Africans growing up here in the U.S., we saw that there were a lot of misconceptions and stereotypes about Africa, about our people. And we felt a calling to really dedicate our career to doing something to demystify, these negative perceptions
That's it.
about Africa and really tell a different narrative. And so that's what the brand, we've been doing for the past 7 years. We have a digital platform that reports on important issues happening within the Pan-African, diaspora community. And then we also host events, around the year to bring our people together and to inspire and to empower our community.
And you are really doing a great job with it. Seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
you're
so
really
much.
doing an awesome,
Thank
awesome,
you.
awesome work. You're doing a fantastic work. Now, let me ask this. How was your upbringing?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. And I say that because Sandra and I, we have an incredibly similar upbringing.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so our very first conversation, we realized how much we had in common, and sort of that's what initiated our journey. I was born in Accra, Ghana, Odoko. I'm an Odoko boy.
Hey!
And I schooled at St. Anthony's, and I didn't know my father growing up. I didn't even think I had a father. And so up until I was about 12 years old, and I was told that, oh, your father is abroad, and so we are going to get ready to come to America. And I said, okay, so that was quite a shock. I didn't hear from him. We didn't have any sort of conversation. We didn't talk at all. No contact whatsoever. And so when I was 13 years old, we finally got to the Bronx. I lived in Parkchester for quite some time, went to MS 127, and the culture shock was quite something. And I saw people who looked like me making fun of me based on the way I dressed, how I spoke. My presentation wasn't in sync with what they're used to, so they just sort of made fun of me. I was bullied, I was jumped quite a few times, and I didn't quite understand why that was. So it wasn't up until the same thing happened throughout high school as well.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and so when I got to college, I finally realized that the issues I had growing up was due to the negative perception of Africa in the media. And so, and I heard a lot of people who had similar upbringing also complain about the same thing and having shared the same experience. And so, I just wanted to do something about it. And that's really why Face2Face Africa started. And Sandra also had this very similar experience.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, so, just like him, I was born in Ghana, and you have a different idea of what it's like being African. We're community oriented, and you just growing up as a kid, you get exposed to yourself, your culture, and you're in love with it. You don't think there's anything wrong with it, right? Until you step out of your country, and then you see this totally different reflection of who you are, of what the world sees Africa as. And so for me, that encounter was when I was about 11, when my dad, he was in Italy. He lived in Italy. He left Ghana for Italy when I was born. And so I also didn't know who he was until he came back when I was at 11 to, take all of us with him. So that's when I was first sort of, officially introduced to him. And so in Italy, that is really when I started to understand that being African to other people was not a cool thing. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I was criticized for the way, even my hair. I had this mini afro.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus. Talk about it, honey.
I had, back in
my
Ghana,
goodness.
you couldn't have long permed hair going to school.
Don't cut your hair.
Exactly. So I was, I didn't have any hair. I had this little afro, and the kids just used to stare at me as if you're from another planet. And they'll ask questions like, so do you guys shower in Africa? How do you shower?
Oh, no.
Yes. Do you have do you live in houses? And so as a kid, you're just kind of like, what are they talking about, right? But unfortunately, that was really, I have to say, from that point up until we came here, it was a dark period for me, because I was at a point where I didn't really understand who I was yet. And so you kind of buy into it. So for a long time, I was ashamed to admit that I was African. And then when I met Isaac,
Really?
yes, for a long time, I told people that I wasn't, African. I would say I'm half this, half that.
And this is the norm in our community. Well, sort of our colleagues, our friends with similar upbringing had the same experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so you sort of denounce your identity, who you really are, because you're afraid of being laughed at, being beaten in many cases, which happened to me. And so you sort of want to fit in. And so that's why you see a lot of the Africans who
were beaten.
Oh, absolutely, jumped.
For being different, because they didn't understand you, they didn't understand your accent, and they got pleasure in making fun of you. So that's why we're so passionate about Face2Face Africa, because we want to make sure that the next generation, our children who are coming up, we want to make sure that they have a different story.
Right.
Wow.
And already, by the grace of God, I think there have been so many things happening on the continent, that so many success stories that we have to celebrate.
Course.
And so it makes it easier for us to tell this different narrative. And it's all about just making sure that the platform is there to bring attention to it, right? There's a quote that says that until the lion learns how to tell its tail, the story will always glorify the hunter. So if we are not vocal, if we are not telling our own stories as a people, then other people always tell our stories, and it's not going to be good. So
wow. It's very interesting.
Right.
When we face some of these people that think that we literally monkeys.
yeah,
And we live on trees.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to take care of this, a Jewish, the guy's Jewish, he and his wife. And I was taking care of their son, a 3-month-old son, but then they had a 3-year-old daughter. One day she comes to me and she calls my name and she said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "Do black people have blood in them?"
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
See, now I never heard that one
Yeah,
before.
that's deep.
Yeah. She asked me, "Do black people have blood in them?"
That's very deep. Yeah.
Listen, I honestly, I felt like scream.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? I mean, what do you mean? So my thing was, oh, it means that the parents have been saying something.
Right.
Because
Right.
if not, this 3-year-old will not come asking me if and she used the word black, if black people have blood in them. It did something to me. And in no time, I just quit the job. I mean, that's it. You know, take your job,
you
let me
did.
take myself,
Yes,
and
right.
let me, I mean,
Yeah,
so those
yeah.
that jumped you, now, I mean, let's be real, all right? And I want us to be real, because there are people out there, some of them have lost their identity. They don't even know who they are anymore. Some of them are looked down on, even at their jobs,
Yeah.
okay, because they're black.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And I want you, because you've been there before, you have become a voice to the voiceless.
That's right.
All right. And so in that moment, what were you thinking?
I really felt helpless because for me, for some strange reason, I've always been proud of who I am and where I come from. I take pride in being an African. And so I felt helpless. And unfortunately, a lot of people, you know, in my age group at that time, sort of gave up who they are. Some of them joined the gang. Some of them sort of started doing the same things they were doing. So it's an initiation process, you know, growing up in the hood, you know, to call it, you know, these are some of the things these folks have to do in order to be accepted in a gang or in whatever sort of organization they're seeking membership in. And so, unfortunately, we became the victim. You know, because as Africans, we have this incredible amount of respect for self, for other people.
Yeah.
And so they see that as weakness. And so then you become a target. So they're not going to retaliate. Let's go after them. Right? And so, unfortunately, a lot of young Ghanaians that I grew up with, you know, were victims to gang violence in the Bronx. Believe it or not, in Parkchester.
In Parkchester.
And this is happening, you know, you know, right around in our neighborhoods. And you go home, you report it. You know, our parents, you know, they don't believe anything you say. Hey, dear man, you know, maybe it's not, you know, you'll be okay, sort of thing. But for me, it really created this immense sort of. I didn't accept who I felt like I wasn't enough. Right? Because I wasn't being accepted. I always felt like I wasn't enough. So I always found myself fighting to be accepted, fighting to be understood.
That's the side I know about you.
Oh
my goodness.
Yeah.
Isaac. Oh.
He told me stories, so I know.
He did, right?
He did.
Oh, my Father.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, Lord Jesus. I remember one day, the mother comes to me, and then she goes, Auntie Sylvia, Miss Cyril, it's like, please, I think Isaac respects you. Can you talk to
Aww.
So here I go to Isaac, and I'm like, Isaac, listen. Oh my goodness. No, I'm sitting here with you.
Yeah.
And I'm just thanking God.
Oh.
Yeah. Because looking at Isaac from where he started and looking at what God has done, I refuse to cry. Yeah. It's amazing. It is amazing. And I go to Isaac and I'm like, Isaac, you know, Mom, your mom said, and Isaac said, don't mind my mom.
Oh my God, no, he didn't.
Oh my Father.
Oh my goodness.
Isaac said,
Oh
don't
my
mind my mom. And
Real troublemaker.
yeah. And so I said, I believe your dad. He says, don't even go there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, don't even go there. And then he didn't say my dad, with that man. Don't go there with that man. My goodness. But I'm looking at you now, and I can see the goodness of God.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. without him, we will be absolutely nothing. And for
Oh,
us, we always, in our household, he's the head. In my life, he's the absolute king. There is none but him. And so, and I really thank my mother for that, because, you know, when
Hey, we're going to talk about mommy.
yes, we will.
I tell you, we will talk about mommy.
Because the scripture that says, train up a child in a way they should
Yeah.
go, and when they grow, they won't
Yeah.
depart from it, really works. Because as much as I fought so hard to be understood, as much I fought so hard for my perspective to be heard, the gospel that was taught every single day sort of was working. And later on in life, it's manifesting in my life. And,
Nice.
and I just know that, you know, everything that we do is because of God's glory in our lives. And so, yeah.
You see, I'm beginning to understand that all these while, years back, everything you were putting out there was because you wanted to be accepted.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
That's deep.
That is exactly right. That's exactly right. I go to school, I'm fighting to be heard. I come home, I'm fighting to be heard. I go to church, I'm fighting to be heard. And so it's like, you're lost. You're lost, you know, if you're in this
You're
world.
in
And
defense mode
always in
constantly.
defense mode.
Yeah.
And so if somebody even means well, you know, automatically my defense mechanism kicks in and I'm ready to fight.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Because
so-
I remember calling you one day and I said, listen, I said, you ought to finish, go to school
Yeah.
and finish the school. And I promised, I said, I promised I will wear my guarantee and come for the graduation. I remember it so well. I said,
remember
Isaac,
that,
I will wear the guarantee
Yeah.
and I'll come to, and if you see my kume, and then that was when, you know, he laughed a little. Because I'm fierce. I mean, it was unbelievable. How about you?
Oh, for me, you know, the same thing. I just knowing where I come from, right? He was born in Accra. He had the privilege of being born in Accra. I wasn't born in Accra. He always laughs at me because he's like, you were born in some village, you know, in Ghana. But I really was, and so I come from a very humbling beginning, and with, you know, parents who really had nothing and just gave us an opportunity. And so I always, I always wanted to do something to just sort of show them that their dedication to us was not for nothing, right? So I was always committed and I was always pushing. I was the type of student, you know, in school who, like, academics first. I just was like, you know, tunnel focused on what I wanted to do. And believe it or not, it's not where I am today. Like, you know, my dreams as a kid and what I thought I'd be doing is not. God completely put me on a different path. But it's just been incredible being on this journey and meeting this, you know, young man, which is kind of like, I feel like has brought my purpose, you know, to light. And it's been a wonderful journey.
Sandra was book long.
Like
She
that.
still is book long.
Really?
The exact opposite. You know, Sandra is always in the book. Sandra is, I mean, her work ethics is incredible. And she's been humble. You know, she graduated at the top of her school in both high school and college, a valedictorian actually. And
Fantastic.
went to school for free. She didn't pay a dime.
Proud
not
of
a
that
penny.
one.
And we are still sorting out student work.
I like that. You're still sorting out school loans.
Yeah.
My goodness. Let's talk about mom.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Your mom is the most humble woman I've ever seen.
She is.
When we came to her celebration, birthday celebration, I couldn't believe my eyes. I'm like, this woman is getting younger and younger. I mean, she's physically getting younger, but age-wise, she's growing.
Right.
And there is this glow and glory about your mom. I mean, I know you. Oh, he loves his mom like
I know,
so
yeah.
nice.
He's definitely a mommy's boy.
It's like, don't touch my mom. Make an attempt, touch my mom. I'm coming after you.
Yeah,
I'm really coming. He will even fight his father because of his mom. Oh, Isaac was something else. But look
You know
at
him
you
very
now.
well.
Look at you now. A man that commands respect. People coming from all over the place to sit and to celebrate what God is doing with you, the two of you. And it's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, can you tell him?
We'll be right back.
up to the highest mountain. Looked all around, couldn't find nobody. Went down into the deepest valley. Looked all around down there, couldn't find nobody. I went across the deep blue sea, couldn't find one to.
Welcome back.
Here, hi, my goodness, listen, we back. I'm talking, all right, to both CEOs, okay, of Face to Face, and listen to me. Their life stories is amazing. Why? Because they've been through something that some of you are going through now, and we're going to go back and continue with our conversation, all right, with Mr. and Mrs. Edu
Bebu Boateng.
Bedu Boateng.
Bebu.
Bebu. Hey,
Exactly, you know,
Bebu.
he always has to be, you know, different.
Bebu.
So
Of course, he already has to say that to us. Bebu. But you see, that's how Isaac used to understand. You know, Bebu. It's like, don't say anything.
No,
yeah.
So you can.
That's it. No, you can't mess it up.
Bebu
You will have to correct me. It's always been like that. All right. So here you are. I want to get to you. So here you are. You've been bullied, and you come home, and you're trying to say it, and nobody believes you. Why do you think they did not believe you?
That's a very good question, and to be quite honest, one that I'm still trying to figure out. You know, my relationship with my father is. I don't think I'm ready to discuss that. But yeah, for some reason we couldn't do anything right. You know, even up until now, I go out and people are saying, "Oh, you're doing well. God bless you. Keep up the good work." And I don't hear those words from my father. So it's like, so you can imagine, just to paint a picture of the type of fight I had to sort of partake in at home in order to be heard. So up until now, I feel like I'm still not fully accepted from the father side, and so I don't want to go too deep into that side. So because I'm trying to, you know, paint a picture so it's well understood, and I hope that it's coming through to the audience. But yeah, it's a very touchy subject, very sensitive, and yeah. So my mom would be the one who would always secretly console. It will be okay. God is on your side. Just don't worry. Look at the bigger picture. It's going to be okay.
I like that. Look at the bigger picture.
Right. And so you say, you know, you talk about how much I admire and adore my mom. It's because of all the things she did that I felt really helped and positioned me to really always look at the bigger picture and not allow the negative sort of narrative around me, from home, from school, from everywhere, sort of have a great impact in my life where it becomes a setback for me.
Do you honestly think, I know you don't want to go there, but do you honestly think that because your father himself did not have anybody to affirm him, or maybe he struggled on his own, so he doesn't know how it feels like or what it is to do the same?
That is excellent. I think that is the case, because I don't know too much about my father's side, and I don't think he grew up with his dad. And so how to, hey, this can get me in trouble.
Listen, I know that. I know your father. He'll get over it.
And so,
Wow.
what it means to be a dad, or he never experienced it. And so how can you give something you never received, if that makes sense? And so...
Why are you tearing up?
I mean, you know, it's I can't even control it. It's coming out, right?
Yeah.
It's just a touchy subject, and that you know, it's touchy.
But I also think, you know, it's not just even with just Isaac's and his dad. I see this as really a trend within our community between the sons and the fathers, because we have a few other friends who are, you know, who have gone through or are going through similar things. And I don't know what it is, but there's a disconnect, you know, between the fathers, and the son, and sometimes even the women, I, can't say, fortunately, I haven't experienced that, personally, but I identify with him, and when he talks about it, it's something that he is very passionate about, and he tends to get sensitive about it, because there's nothing you want more than that affirmation from your parents, especially your father. Their blessings means everything to us as children. So when that's not in place, it makes it really hard. But I think he's been such a trooper, and he continues to fight, and it hasn't stopped him from being who God has.
That's it.
Has destined for him to be. So I'm really proud of him.
I'm proud of you more. I am proud of you more. Why? Because so let's talk about mommy. So mom is the pushy, go for it. You can do. Mom has the can do spirit.
Yes.
Okay, can do. So you can do it. You can become. And yet she herself was struggling.
Yeah.
Anytime I see your mom, I see nothing but a great success. Because knowing your family and everything that, both have gone through, when I see your mom, I see a woman that knows how to endure.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And yet will not expose.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Your mom is a trooper.
She is.
I mean, she knows, over the years, how to endure and still not expose.
It's very difficult, but she did it.
She's the
difficult, but she
definition
did
of
it.
strength. And I always tell her, I said, Mommy, I don't know how you did it. I always tell her, I said, this is what I say, I don't think our generation can do what you've done and what you've endured.
And that's the reason why mommies like that ought to be given a voice.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because mommies like that can encourage other young girls that are coming up, saying, hey, I went through A, B, C, D, E, and I survived, and you will also survive.
Yeah.
Because the divorce rate is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And let me talk to you now as a father. I'm not talking to you as a son. I'm talking to you as a father. I want to talk to you as a husband. What is it different about what you are doing with your daughters that you never got?
Oh, it's a day and night. Day and night. Being a father is the greatest gift ever.
Yeah.
And I really understand the responsibility of what being a father is and what it comes with. And so I take it very seriously. I don't play with my children.
Yeah.
In fact,
Hey!
I remember a friend of ours, she really wasn't a friend of a friend. My daughter was about a year and a half, and she saw the baby, and she said, "Oh, what happened to the baby's hair? Where is it? Where's the hair?" And Mama Sylvia, the old Isaac had to come out.
Oh, mercy, mercy.
I just had to, put her in play. Just don't play with my children. I'm a very serious dad. I do everything I can to provide them with the very best that's possible. And so I think I learned what not to do from my upbringing. Not just from my house, but from other fathers as well. And so, and that is my main priority right now, is to make sure that they have the best of everything. They have the great life experience and are well equipped to be what God wants them to be. Because I think it's a responsibility of the parents to equip them in order for God's purpose to be achieved in their lives. Yeah.
So just imagine what mommy prayed for years ago.
My goodness. Yeah.
And even though our eyes did not see it, but yet God was working behind the
That's
scene.
right.
Now look at Isaac. I've preached on you before.
Oh, really? I need that sermon.
Oh, yes.
Amazing.
How God can take the foolish things of this world to confine the wise. Now look at you sitting with presidents, and you sitting with Al Sharpton and all these great men, and dialoguing with them, and it's very interesting, and it's a blessing. Let me ask this. What do you think your children will say about you?
Wow.
What in in your absence, what do you think your children will say about you?
I think my daughter Isabel will probably say, and she said it before, that I have the best dad in the world.
Of course.
Yes. So she's probably being biased. I understand that, but yeah. So I think they will say my father really fought very hard and worked very hard tirelessly to ensure that we have the very best life possible. And so, and that's what I'm working hard, so then they can get to say that someday.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about you?
Oh, what the children would say about him? Yeah, I think I would say they would definitely say he is a very strict father, but the most loving father, you know, they
He's
could ever.
strict.
He's strict. Oh, strict, very strict. He's very, very, very strict. But at the same time, he will go above and
Yeah.
beyond, and do whatever he needs to do to make sure they're happy. So it's a really good, balance.
That's
I
how it's
think.
supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's how.
You have to be strict. They can do whatever they want.
No, that's true.
And so
That's true.
you have to be strict while at the same time loving them. So you break them down and you lift them back up again. You don't break them down and leave them there.
Yeah.
Right.
You see, and so for me, that's what I do. I have to be a parent. I have to be a father, and I have to teach you the ways you ought to sort of follow and be a great person, right? And that's what the Bible says. That's what I'm following. But when it's time for me to love on you, I'm going to love on you. When it's time for me to provide, I will provide. But you are not going to go wayward. It's
Yeah,
not going to happen.
it's not
Yeah.
going to happen. What do you see yourself doing in the next 10 years? With face to face.
She's running face to face now, so
We're both running face to face.
Oh,
Auntie Sylvia, I have to tell you, if I would have guessed by any, imagination that I would be here where I am today, 10 years ago, I would, flop. Like, I would be lying to you. So it's really hard to imagine what God has planned for us for the next 10 years. But what I'm going to say is we are, both Isaac and I are just totally willing, and, we just want him to just do what he wants to do through us, right? And to fulfill his promise. There's so many things and promises that he has made to us that hasn't even come to pass yet. So we're definitely looking forward to being able to continue to do what we're doing and the next level, right? Taking us to the next level in our career and what he has really, purpose for us to do. So it's hard to pinpoint exactly, but I just know and I believe that he has great things in store for us, and we're excited.
yeah, I believe the next 10 years, he's going to preach the gospel.
Oh, wow. Amen.
That's
You mean him, right?
yeah, yeah.
He's been told that. He's been told that, actually.
Yeah, that's what I believe.
Wow.
I believe from now till 10 years, we will see Isaac in the pulpit.
Wow.
You see, there are people that are impacting lives, and yet they are preaching the gospel.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there are great doctors out there who are preaching the gospel. So I honestly, with all seriousness, I honestly believe from now to the next 10 years, we will see Isaac in the pulpit.
Amen.
Yeah, preaching
Amen.
the gospel. And everything that he's doing, you guys are doing now, is going to go to another level.
Amen.
Remember, because you're not only bringing light, or you're not only shining light on what is happening in Africa,
Yeah.
but guess what? There are Africans out there who have still not heard the gospel. They've still not heard the gospel. And so what you do as you go in their midst and as you tell their stories, you will also minister to them.
Amen. 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 Amen.
As you tell their stories, you will also minister to them. Let me ask you this before we take the last break. We are in 2019. Do you honestly think that maybe sitting down with dad will change something? Do you honestly think? Because sometimes until we come to a place of making them understand, they may do what they do. And I don't want it to look like, oh, that is how they are and they can never change. Right? Because here you are having children. And your children will love to connect to grandpa. Now, if grandpa will treat them like the way grandpa treated you, there will always be trouble.
Right.
Because You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
There will always be trouble.
Absolutely.
And so, what do you think that if I like he goes
Yeah.
he goes All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back. We'll take a break. We'll take a break.
We'll be right back.
Climbed up to the highest mountain, looked all around, couldn't find nobody. Went down into the deepest valley, looked all around down there, couldn't find nobody. I went across the deep blue sea, couldn't find one to compare to your grace, your love, your mercy. Nobody greater than you. I searched all over, couldn't find nobody. I looked high and low, still couldn't find nobody.
Welcome back.
You're watching Time with Blessings. I am here with Mr. and Mrs. Isaac Babu Boateng. Boateng. And we've been, talking about family, about life, about what they do. And before we went on the break, I asked a question. The reason for my asking this question is because, number one, he's a father. Number two, he's a husband. Now, he has children, and there are other children, people's children that are looking up to you. All right? As we are sitting here now, there are people that are watching us around the globe that are saying, that's my story.
Yeah.
But then they also have a question. How are we going to get it solved?
I think the responsibility is on the father's side. As a father, I think you have to take charge in making sure that your family is intact. And so, I mean, a child, you have to obey your parents and do what is required of you according to the word. But you see, a lot of times, I feel like when that particular sermon in the Bible is being preached, they forget the subsequent statement, which is very clear that parents do not frustrate your children.
Yeah, don't provoke them.
Do not provoke them.
Yeah.
And so if a child is doing everything he's supposed to do, giving you the utmost respect, and you are not doing your side of the bargain, then how do we reach an equilibrium? It becomes imbalanced. It's not going to work out. And so for me, what I've said is I am going to continue to do what is required of me as a son, and respect him and love him. But I think at this particular moment from afar is the best way forward. And we just see what God would do. He needs to come to terms with himself, and first of all accept himself, and before initiating any type of conversation with his children. Because there are a lot of work that needs to be done on that side.
Right. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Is it just you or all your siblings?
Primarily, I'll say me. Because even I hear that things that has absolutely nothing to do with me, somehow my name is interjected. And I'm like, but how? And so, and I just think that, and I don't want to you know, and like I said,
Sure.
maybe, there are things that he's also struggling to understand. And I pray that God will give him that understanding and hopefully get to a point of, get to a point of satisfaction, getting that answers he's requiring to the point where I can now come in the picture. So, and there's a lot of dynamics, and I don't want this to
Sure,
become.
go ahead, yeah,
There's a lot of dynamics
yeah,
that is
yeah.
that involves third parties and other people
Yeah.
that I think perhaps those items needs to be addressed as well
Sure.
before.
Sure.
And so, so it's very complicated, and I know a lot of people watching are confused. It's okay to be confused.
Yeah.
The point is, though, as a son, it's important that I continue to give my father all the respect
That's
in the
it.
world, and
That's
I'm
it.
grateful to God. God gave, me to him for a reason, and
That's
so,
it. I like that.
yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
I like that. So, you, the two of you, having the same experiences growing up, one is deeper than the other. How do you make it work?
I think so. When it comes to the father thing, Isaac and I are so similar in so many ways, different in ways, but similar in many ways. Because when it comes to the father thing, I also have a similar thing with my dad when it comes to my work, right? Where he doesn't understand what I'm doing. He doesn't understand what I do. Like, you come to our events, you're like, oh my God, like you understand. My
Yeah.
dad doesn't. He feels like I made the wrong decision. He would have preferred that I be a nurse than for me to be doing what I'm doing today, believe it or not. And so that also created
I'm sitting on.
It's a different segment altogether.
Oh,
I know, it's
my
a
and
different
a
thing.
major issue in the Ghanaian diaspora
Yeah.
community.
So, but everybody cannot be a nurse.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
how can God even use you to do extraordinary things when
If
you're
you're
looking to
limiting
do
your-
what everybody else is doing? You cannot be extraordinary. And
Yeah.
so,
because I chose a career path that he didn't understand. He came to one of our events. I think you were at that event that year. I'm pretty sure you were.
he might be watching them.
It's the truth.
That's all right.
And he was like, and then my mom, the same opposite, but the same thing. My mom is excited. She's thrilled, so proud of us. And, it's just like, oh my God, like, look at my daughter. And my dad is like, we're not eating. If I saw Ben there, what's so, just like that. And then my mom was, my mom told me later on, this is what your dad said, and I don't want it to discourage you or whatever. He actually stormed out of the event before it was over. He was like, what's the point of this? I don't understand. So, so,
With all that you guys are doing.
and I don't know. I just don't know what it is. So because of that and several other things, our relationship is also not the best, and so I think, to your question, that experience, we feel like we have so much to fight for, and even when it comes to our marriage, whenever it gets tough for us, and, several times you get to a point where you want to quit, because it's just so difficult, but we're reminded of that bond. We feel like our purpose together is greater than what we could ever imagine. Yeah.
You
and
can't run
so-
to your parents.
we don't have nowhere.
So you stand over each other.
It's no good example there.
My
It's
goodness.
just our mothers who really are for both of us. Our mothers are the pillars behind us, fighting for us, rooting for us, praying for us. And by the grace of God, that has really been enough to, keep us going. So
My mother is so great that growing up, I thought I was rich because I went to a private school. We lived well. We
As
looked
for your
good.
mother, Jesus.
And, I later realized that this woman worked at Mokola.
Wow.
And I'm like, how come I went to a private, how? And so that's like when you say they are the pillars, it's exactly right. They do whatever it takes to make sure that their children are good. And so, yeah. So when people come to me and say, oh, you and your mom, dear, you only have to be grateful when someone really, you are who you are because of the tireless prayers and efforts of an individual. You just have to you just have to show that appreciation on that
I mean,
level.
we hear mama's boy,
Yeah.
but mama's boy, not in a bad way.
No.
Yeah, no,
Your
not
mama's
at all.
boy is a mama's boy in a good way.
Yeah.
I mean, Isaac will slap the Jesus out of you if you mess up with his mom. Oh my father! I mean, why? Because she's there. She was there and still there. A praying mother, a loving mother, a mother who believes in peace than confusion.
That's right.
I mean, your mother is a real peacemaker.
Yeah, she is.
And we bless God.
Amen.
You know, and we celebrate her now. See, the thing is, people wait until God calls people home, and we begin to say, "Oh, they used to be this," but we celebrate your mother now.
Right.
My husband is my witness. When he says, "Oh, we have to go to the party," first I said, "Whose party is it?" And then he goes, "Oh, Isaac's mom." I said, "I am going to that party." As I'm really going to that party. If it's Isaac's mom, I don't like all these all over the place. I don't like it. No. And so I mean, oh, please forgive me if you invited me somewhere I didn't come. Lord mercy. Oh, forgive me, please do forgive me. I am not, like all over the place. But when he says it's Isaac's mom, I said I'm going to that party.
That's right. Thank you.
And it was a blessing being there.
Thank you.
What do you say to teenagers or young adults that are going through similar issue? What do you say to them?
Wow.
Sandra, you first.
It's a tough one.
What do you say to them?
It's
Wow.
really reflecting on everything, and I know sometimes when you talk about God, right, it sounds like, to some people, it sounds like a cliche. It's like, yes, we all know God, but truly, I just can't imagine how we would be able to keep going and to keep doing what we do. Fine, we don't have the support of our fathers, but we know that this is what God has intended for us. Like, there's nothing else for us to do. So just having that understanding and being in tune with the rhythm of God and the Spirit of God, and just allowing Him to lead you. And I believe, and I tell him all the time, I'm always telling him, call your dad. I believe that there's a purpose for that, right? And it will come to, we will all come to understand why that happened when it's time, right? And I think it's propelling him to do something and to it's doing something. There's a purpose for everything that happens in life. That's what I'm trying to say. So no matter what, I think as long as you stay in tune with God and you allow God to really be the king and the ruler and have Him just, lead you, I think everything works together for the good of us. And I really, really believe that. I don't stress, I don't worry. With my dad, whether he's with his support or not, I'm still going to thrive and I'm still going to shine, because I know that I am living in my purpose. This is what God has asked me to do, and I'm just an obedient servant. That's it. So I would just advise everyone else, just let God be your pillar. And the one that you run to for everything, and just know that whatever it is, you may not have control of it now, but ultimately it's all going to make sense, and you're going to understand why you went through what you had to go through. It's setting you up for something. I truly believe that.
How about you?
It's and I have to second what Sandra said, and also add this fact that, again, put God first, and that's first and foremost in everything that you do. For me, when I was evicted from my initial apartment when I first got out of college. Excuse me, I'm suffering from a cold.
That's all right.
And it was, I had some money saved, but it was between investing in FACE2FACE Africa or going to pay for my rent to stay in the house. And I decided to invest in FACE2FACE Africa. And so I was evicted from the apartment, and I'm thinking, okay, I can go back to my father's house. I get there and I'm told, get out. And so for 3 days, I'm sleeping in my car behind 149th and Grand Concourse.
The post office?
The post office. You see that corner there?
Yeah.
That was my spot. So every night I would go and park there and try to catch some lines. So, and this woman was there would be calling, and sometimes would sneak me in the house to brush my teeth and get things ready. For 3 days, just driving around until my mother had enough. You talk about why I have such a close bond with my mom. She had enough, and it was either you leave me or the child is coming back home to figure things out.
Oh my.
So again, mommy saves the day, you know. And so when I put God first in that situation, when I was a college student and I was coming home from school, my father was upset for whatever reason and told me not to come home, and I ended up sleeping in crack house and begging people to be able to spend the night at their home, and I ended up sleeping at one of my good friends' girlfriend's house for the rest of the summer. I put God first, and somehow he always comes through and sort of helped me to the next level. And so for me, I felt like all my life's journey has been an interesting life lesson and has positioned me to do something that is even greater than what people are seeing now. And so I'm just grateful to God for choosing me to go through all that. I'm not a victim. I don't say these things to come off as a victim, but rather that if I was able to withstand it, you know, if whatever you're going through, I'm sure that God will definitely show you the right path to overcome it. And so just keep God first and keep praying, and don't do anything that will get you in trouble.
My goodness. Wow.
And that was the thing. I refuse to do anything that would get me in trouble to sort of damage my potential. Like, and so I just, you know, stuck to the fight. You know, I said, you know, I'm going to sleep in this car for as long as possible, you know. And I was still coming to church at that time, Calvary, every Sunday, and people had no idea. There was nobody to go to talk to, because people, again, even there, I was fighting to be understood. So it's kind of interesting. And so I think that there have to be some sort of safe haven. And the only person who understood me at that time, I had just met her, was my mom. Then immediately after that, so Sandra. So I was always running to her to talk to her. And at that time, even it came to a point when I was evicted from my apartment, a time came where my car was also repossessed. And so then I had to rely on her to pay my phone bill, to sort of, you know, look out for me and while I figure things out. And you know, by the grace of God, you know, I'm good. I'm good. I don't know what else to say, but I'm good. I'm great. And so when people feel entitled, that just because they have the title of whatever, father or whatever, so now I have to do my obligation as a child, you know, it's earned, and it's something that, you know, you know, it's like, you know, people don't understand why I would do anything for my mother. They don't understand why. There's a reason. Nothing is done in vain. Everything is done with a reason. And so I always try to understand people from their perspective, and I always want to dig deeper to understand why they decided to do the things they did.
That's what I'm trying to do.
You see? And not jump into conclusion, because you might be making a huge mistake. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to do something.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to ask you to do something.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to look into that camera and pray. Pray for somebody who is confused. Pray for somebody who is lost. Pray for somebody who feels they can't fit. I'm doing a series on the rejected. The rejected. And a man is in the Bible, Judges chapter 11. And his name is Jephthah. And Jephthah was thrown out because his mom was a harlot. And his father's children threw him out. But a time came, the Bible said, and in the process of time, they went back calling Jephthah because they were in trouble.
Jesus. Yeah.
In the process of time. So this may be your process of time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
The process of time.
That's right. Yeah.
And I said to them, they will come looking for you.
Amen.
The time has not come yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the time will come.
It will, surely.
Where
Surely.
the time will come.
Amen. Amen.
Where they will come looking.
Yeah.
And so, with everything you've been through, being jumped, being literally homeless, being thrown out, being misunderstood. You have to fight. I mean, fight for everything. And here you are, speaking to the world. You've probably spoken to the world in silence by what you do. It's a way of speaking to the world, but not vocally. By what you do, you speak in silence. But here you are. You are not only speaking in silence, but you're speaking to the world. So I want you, speak to somebody. And when you are done, pray for them.
Yeah. I just wanted to encourage you that there is absolutely nothing that is impossible for God. And if I'm to go deeper into my life's journey, you probably would need quite a few tissue. It's been quite a very difficult process for me, and I stand here only to give God all the glory. And it is only Him that I'm able to do what I do. And so I just want to encourage you that no matter what you're going through, no matter what the situation is, no matter what obstacles you are faced with right now, no matter how big they are, just know that God is truly able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we ask for. And so that is written for a reason, and there is a true purpose behind it. Just believe it, just stick to the fight, and I'm sure that the same God who brought me to this level will see you through your struggles.
Amen.
Pray for them.
And so I pray in the mighty name of Jesus Christ that God will visit you today exactly where you are right now, exactly as you are right now. I pray that God will touch you from the top of your head to the sole of your feet, that nothing that it's a need of yours will be a need forever. That God is able to do everything that you present to Him. His word says that we should cast all of our burdens down at His feet for a reason. And so I pray that you will take action and indeed cast all your burden to God's feet, and He is able to save you from every single obstacle that you're saved with. I pray that God will see you through your struggles. I pray that may God give you the same song that I sing today. And it's a song of rejoice, it's a song of victory. And in the mighty name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. You see? Amen. Amen. It's been a good time talking to Isaac and his wife, his beautiful wife, Sandra. And they are blessed with two beautiful children, and we bless God. This journey is going to be an awesome journey.
Amen.
Out of this, books will be written. Out of this, lives will be changed. Out of this, somebody who has no hope will say, if God can do this, then God can fix me. So, if somebody wants to be part of what you do, how do they contact you? Give out every information, the website, that people can go and see what you are doing. All right?
So you can visit FACE2FACE Africa, and it's a 2face, the number 2faceafrica.com. That is our digital media subsidiary. But you can also visit Babu Global, and that is our parent company that we do much more than digital media. We are into marketing consultancy. We are into technology solutions. We do quite a lot beyond just a media platform. And so when you go to babuglobal.com, you get to learn more about what we do on a bigger scale. But in terms of the platform, FACE2FACE Africa, sort of telling the African story on a day-to-day basis, that is the website, FACE2FACEAfrica.com. And you can email us at info@FACE2FACEAfrica.com. I'm sorry, info@f2fafrica.com.
And we have the Pan-African Weekend in July, which is our biggest annual conference where we bring people from all over the world together to celebrate greatness within our community. It's July 18th through the 21st. So just go to panafricanweekend.com to get all the information and to register for any of the events. Thank you.
Listen, it is such an awesome time we've spent here And I bless God for what God is doing with the Boatengs.
The baby Boateng.
Oh my goodness. My goodness. Oh geez. All right, so I bless God for what God is doing with them. And I know there are greater things to come. Now I want you to go on their website and I want you to see what they do. If you are one of those millionaires watching us, if you are one of those pastors watching us, please get them in your churches. Yeah, for them to tell their stories, to encourage somebody that it is okay for you to fight now, but it is not okay for you to fight forever.
Yes, yes.
That's
yes,
right.
Yes.
It's okay for you to fight now, but it's not okay for you to fight forever. And that the stone that the builders rejected will always be the cornerstone.
Amen.
I speak over your life. Join in my faith with their faith.
Yes, Lord.
And we declare to you that the God who has begun a good work in you, he has what it takes to bring you to an expected end.
Amen.
Be strong. We ask that you will be remembered by God, knowing that with God not some things, but all things are possible.
Amen.
May he give you an unusual strength for you to be able to go through whatever situation you are going through. Because at the end of the day, he's the one that gives us the last laugh. May you receive the last laugh in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, and in the name of the Holy Spirit. Somebody know that you are going somewhere and you will always be on top. The Lord bless you.
Amen.
The Lord
God
bless you.
bless you.
Hey, listen, we'll be back tomorrow 4 p.m. And so stay tuned. If you want to be a guest on our show, well, get in touch with us. Sylvia.blessings@aol.com or call us 347-701-4074. And we'll make sure we listen to your story, your extraordinary story, and we'll allow you to share your story to the world. Until we see you, when we see you, the Lord bless. Bye-bye.